everyone, it's Jenny here, and today I'm making a video talking about the respiratory system and the important role that it plays in our body in the exchange of gases and how it takes in oxygen and releases carbon dioxide, and how that is so important and vital for us to be living. So if you've been watching my past videos, you know that the theme is creating homeostasis within the body, and then also how looking at our body as its own inner ecosystem and creating an analogy of the ecosystem that we live in on Earth and how similar that they are to each other. So I have a really great example of how the respiratory system relates to the ecosystem that we live in and talking about our own inner ecosystem. So this is why I'm filming outside today, and is because I'm surrounded by a few trees, as you can see, and they say that trees are the lungs to Earth. They play a very, very, very important role. Without trees, if there were no trees, no plants, no bushes, no vegetables, we could not live on Earth. We wouldn't be thriving. There would not be enough oxygen on Earth because of that. So the reason is that these trees are releasing oxygen, and then that is the air that we breathe. So we can breathe in oxygen because we have all of this vegetation. So that is the role of our lungs for our own body. Without our lungs, we could not have life. Our cells couldn't thrive. We couldn't thrive. Oxygen plays a very important role in the blood exchange as well. So I want to dig into this and then show you a really, really great example with one of the little trees that we have growing in our yard. So first of all, I want to talk about how air gets taken into our body. So first of all, we breathe in air through the nose. And when you take in a good breath of air, you notice you can feel it going through your nose. It hits the very, very back of your throat, and it's hitting the pharynx. So it first goes through the pharynx. It comes down to the larynx, which is where our voice box is located. And then from there, it goes down the trachea, which is our windpipe, which goes directly down into our lungs. There is a very interesting little part here, because if you think about it, how does our body know that we're taking in air, or if we're eating food or swallowing a liquid, right? So there's actually two different places that can go. We can, take in air straight down through the trachea, down into the lungs, or if we're eating, that is not going to go down the trachea. It's going to go down the esophagus. So we have something called the epiglottis, and it is kind of like, if you want to think about it like a automatic door system. It just senses and knows what to do. So it knows when we're just breathing in air, and it knows when we're eating food and which way to be open or closed. So it's pretty interesting. That is very interesting if you've ever thought about that before, because I have definitely thought that, is how does my body know where things go? So yeah, the air goes down the trachea, and then once it goes down the trachea, this trachea splits, and when it splits, it's splitting into what we call the primary bronchi. And if you can envision what lungs look like, first of all, the lungs themselves look like kind of like balloons. They're inflating and deflating as we breathe. But if you look at them, if you look up a picture of lungs closely, you will see a tree-like branches that go into the lungs, and they disperse through the lungs. And this is the bronchi, okay? So this is where I want to show you a tree that I have in my yard. It's very small. If you can see this, it is called a Texas laurel. And I hope that you can see this, but I'm going to get down and show you that this right here would be our trachea, if you can envision this, okay? And I want to show you this first split right here. You see where it just is one, and then it splits into these two right here? These would be called our primary bronchi, and this is where the first lung would be and the second lung would be. First lung, second lung. And I know that this tree right here has many different ones, but we're just gonna pretend just the two. Okay, so as we go up, if you can see this, they're splitting. They keep splitting. And if we keep going up this little tree here, they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And eventually, I'm sorry, you can see this, they're going to get so small. You can see this right here. They get so small that they're like little tiny tubes, okay? And on the end of the bronchioles is something called the alveoli. And they're little sac-like, they kind of look like a cluster of grapes, which is why I was drawn to this tree, because it kind of looks exactly like that, like a little sac-like, okay? This is where the oxygen exchange is taking place. So we have breathed in oxygen from our trachea through all the bronchioles. Now right here into these alveoli is the final destination. Okay, so if this was in our body, this would actually be surrounded by blood. It would just be blood everywhere, okay? I know that sounded kind of gory, but it would be surrounded in blood and by a very, very thin membrane. And this is where the blood gas exchange takes place. So the oxygen that we just breathed in is going out through the blood and is going to go into our organs and spread into all the tissues of our body. And then going through this is going to be carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is going in through here and it's going to backtrack its way all the way down to the trachea. And then it's going to, we're gonna breathe and exhale that out, okay? So that is the pathway of air. That is why it's so important for our body, because our cells need that oxygen. Our cells need oxygen to have energy. And if our cells have energy, then our body has energy to move, to get up, to talk, just to function, do everyday things of just simply walking and moving. And by doing that, we're able to exercise, to walk ourselves around, to do simple tasks, and we need that energy. So that is why our lungs are so, so important to our body. And this is why trees are so important to our ecosystem, that we are standing outside on planet Earth, breathing in air, breathing in through our lungs into our own ecosystem. So that is the similarity, that is the importance, and I hope that you took an aha moment from this video, and feel free to share that with me. And if you have any questions, send me a message. But that is my description of the respiratory system. Thank you.